What's up, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the Purple People podcast. We fired Kyle West. He's no longer – I'm just kidding. Before any of you freak out, Kyle had something to take care of tonight, and we just happened to get a request from my buddy here, Mike. Say hello to everyone tuning in. This is Mike. I do some UFC stuff with him on Twitter, lots of Vikings talk with him on Twitter. How are you, man?
I'm doing good, man. 5-0. If you had told me that in August, I would have called you a fool. And I think the majority of Viking fans probably would have called you a fool. This is an insane season, and I'm all for it. Happy to be here, and I'm excited for this season. I cannot believe it. Sam Darnold has played efficient football every single time we need him. It's incredible. I've had a good time, and hopefully this season continues. Going into the bye 5-0, if you had told me that, I would not have never believed you. I'm so happy right now.
So what brought you to the Vikings side over here?
Like my story, I became a fan. So I'm Canadian, so it's
on that whole thing.
Yeah, so it's a bit different, obviously, as a Canadian. Like there's really rarely family heritage to an NFL team, and obviously you don't live in any of the cities where they play. So essentially, when I was maybe 7 or 8 years old, I want to say, it's a funny story, but I liked this one winter hat. I wish I had it. And if I ever find it, I will bring it on these shows to show the people what ruined my life. But in all seriousness, so I saw this one really nice winter hat with a Nike swoosh. I didn't really watch the NFL at the time, or nowhere close to how I did now. It was very irregular, here or there, whatever. And there was this really cool logo. Obviously, it's the Vikings logo now, and that's really it. It's not a really, thorough story. And, it's funny. When I was on Purple Daily a while ago on their Write That Down segments, my first ever draft pick was Adrian Peterson. And so you believe, like, holy crap, this teams were so efficient. And ever since, I've learned the purple pain and all that comes with that. It's a lot of ups and downs, put it that way.
See, I was part of that Vikings crowd that was like, why are you drafting Adrian Peterson? You need Brady Quinn. Get him. And I will still admit that because it's okay to admit you're wrong.
Yeah. I was very bullish in my young Vikings career, and I don't say this with malice. I know I've not been critical or rude about it. I think I just call a spade a spade. I think Teddy Bridgewater, we found out over the long term, and there is always the what if of the knee injury, but he's a career backup. I don't know that he would have been much more than that, but I was super pumped because Zimmer sold me a dream. I was like, this is the guy he wants. You just got to turn around and hand it to AP. The defense will win it all. Basically, what is happening in this London game against the Jets, I thought Teddy Bridgewater would happen. Hey, defense will win a lot. Doesn't have to do much. We'll just run the ball really effectively. Boy, was I wrong on that. So I think we've all had our fair share. Adam, you don't have to call out any more of my mistakes on the show. I'm sure you.
As long as Adrian Peterson can lean on Christian Ponder, we're all good.
There we go. That's right. Adrian Peterson became the player he was because of Christian Ponder's leadership. You heard it here first. I didn't think I'd ever say that on the show. You thought we had to be a red to be on the show. What do you call this? What's that?
I mean, none of us have had a thorough check on this guy, I don't think.
It's true. I don't know where I don't know. I just met Mike last week. We don't know much about it.
That's hilarious.
No, Mike, it's really cool. I met Mike through Twitter because you can host basically like a phone call or a podcast setting there. It's just called a space. I'm very new to them, and the only space I've ever joined is Mike's. So it's a lot of fun. It's fun. It gets heated sometimes. It got heated on the last one we had. It was a long preview of this Jets game. But it's fun if you ever want to get on with random fans. It can be a little nutty. Some people are very rude, but if you surround yourself with the right people on there, it's pretty fun. I've met a lot of fans from Jets fans like last week, Giants fans, 49ers fans, and they're fun. But Mike's a good dude. Real happy to have you fill in. Kyle West had to pull out of the show like not too long ago. I just found out he wasn't going to be here. So luckily, we still have a trio today, but you'll see some of our regulars here. They're always good, and they say some funny stuff too, which is hilarious. Yeah, Charlotte, I'm just bringing up the fact that I look old. Adam definitely would be the redheaded liaison of the show.
Yeah, but I got this big white stripe right here.
Yeah, I feel you on that. I'm waiting for this to grow out so it can just take over at the bottom. But on to the matter of hand. So the Vikings won ugly game yesterday, 23-17 in London versus the Jets. And my immediate takeaway yesterday, Adam called me out on it. He goes, Smith, you're being that fan complain when we win. And I was like, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. This game sucks. And I didn't want to watch it for a long time. What an ugly performance by the offense. Special teams wasn't great either, but the defense just came through again. The offense did enough, and there's a graphic I saved earlier. I'll read it now. I should have had it up for the screen, but it's pretty crazy. So when we talk about since the 1970 merger, the least amount of time trailing, there have been 6 teams, the 6 teams. This is a crazy stat. I didn't know this was a thing at all. The 2009 Saints didn't trail at all during that season whatsoever. So that's weird. The 1984 Dolphins, they lost the Super Bowl. The 2023 49ers, 1 minute and 45 seconds, lost the Super Bowl. The 1999 Rams, greatest show on turf, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. The Vikings of this year, 3 minutes and 26 seconds. And the 1998 Broncos won the Super Bowl and beat our beloved Vikings. I'm sorry, the Atlanta Falcons should have been the Vikings there. 4 minutes and 23 seconds. So they are number 5 out of the 6 teams since the 1970 merger that have the least amount of time trailing. And all of these teams went to a Super Bowl, and 3 of the 5 that have played in one so far have won the Super Bowl. So I don't know if that means anything. So that on Twitter yesterday that compared Justin Jefferson's receiving yards to Randy Moss, the point differential and points scored and all that of the 98 Vikings team, and they are eerily similar. So take what you will from all that. I'm still on the train that the wheels are going to fall off and the world's going to collapse at some point on this team because that's what my mind is conditioned for.
As Vikings fans, we're ready for it.
I'm here. I'm ready.
We could be 17-0. We could be 17-0. We'd still be expecting the worst. It's what honestly. Me and Justin, who I used to do videos with, Justin Day. You remember Justin Day, Kyle?
Okay.
And no, I haven't heard much from him in a while. But he used to always say it. It's so true. We could be up 28-7 with 2 minutes left in the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl, and we'd still think we're somehow going to lose. And that's what it is. Until we ever win it, there's always going to be that PTSD because we've been there. We've done that. We've seen so much pain as fans. And the crazy thing is, Kyle, me and you have both basically been fans around the same time. That Favre era was when we started truly watching the games. And even then, there's just so much pain, even from 2009 onward. It's what we're used to. But I did notice you mentioned the Saints. The Saints won their first Super Bowl and their only Super Bowl with a season where they trailed very little. So I can't believe I'm saying this. Let's follow the New Orleans Saints 2009 formula, apparently, on something. Never thought I'd utter those words, but here we are.
Every single time Will Reichert lines up for a kick, I'm like, okay, this is the one that isn't going to go in.
Me too. Deep down, you're waiting for. And if he, could do what he did in Alabama, where he says, everybody in Alabama talked about how they were cursed. He got there, and it was gone. If you do that for the Minnesota Vikings, Will, please, for love of God, we'll love you forever. And also,
the rumors out there, I don't believe he is dating Sydney Sweeney. I think he is married to his childhood crush and very happy. So,
Adam said that in our chat today, and I was like, I hope Adam didn't fall for some how your parents, if they have Facebook, they'll fall for something like copy and paste the status. If you want to get rid of taxes, and you're like, Grandma, no, don't do that. I was like, surely Adam didn't get booed on Twitter, but I realized he was joking, and I was like,
yeah.
Oh, this is the thing too, and this is where, as we sit in a generation of guys who saw the internet come to fruition, like dial-up internet. I still remember cassette tapes, recording CDs. We're in that era of watching technology evolve in front of our eyes. This is a thing that the younger generation does. They just tweet things that are factually inaccurate for clicks and laughs.
Yes.
I hate it personally. I think it's really
stupid,
I do too. And I don't like it, but I do see that there is humor in it other places. And
I saw you didn't like that clip I sent from Score North.
No, I don't give them the light of day. I don't like that show. I think they say a lot of I think they say a
Apparently,
lot
they believe
of
that
things.
if J.J. McCarthy had not gotten injured, he would be the quarterback when the Vikings returned from the bye, and that Sam Darnold would
No
be
way.
sidelined. And I don't believe that.
They
one
said
bit.
that. Yeah.
When
They
did
just-
today? Like recently? This isn't
Yeah, it
an
had to
old
be
post.
today.
No, this is new.
Yeah.
That's wow.
And
Wow.
Judd said it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna go any further on that. I've watched Purple Daily a good amount, the last couple of years, but like they do some stuff for clicks. And if you don't think that's what that is, you're insane. Like that
I mean, I get what he's trying to think, but logically, it doesn't add up.
no. And I don't care. And I keep seeing this stat, and since you brought it up, the last 6 quarters have said that's what we're really gonna do. Us Viking fans, we're really gonna talk about 6 quarters of play and freak out. Okay. The context that we've removed from Sam Darnold's last 6 quarters is driving me nuts. We were blowing out the Packers, and a lot of that game, it was play safe. Don't do anything stupid, and we should have been actually running the ball even more in that game with Aaron Jones. It's crazy. 28-7 in that game last week. I was screaming at the TV when he threw that pick. I said, why on earth are you throwing the football? 28-7. Kick a field goal, get to 31, end of story. The 2 picks that Sam threw these last 2 weeks, they were bad play calls from Kevin. And a lot of people get mad when you criticize Kevin O'Connell. He's done a great job coaching, no doubt. Why on earth you're screaming up a pass on 3rd and 15, up 10, deep in your own end is insane. I can understand a screen. You do not go for 15 yards down 10 or up 10 points on a neutral site with no running game whatsoever. So they know you're going to do that. And the 2nd and 1 play, it bothered me. I don't know why on earth. We had 3 straight run plays that game against Green Bay, torching them with the run. And you play action fake and throw a deep ball to Aaron Jones. Again, bad decisions by Darnold, don't get me wrong, but he will take chances. He's not Kirk Cousins. That's the one thing he definitely isn't. He's not safe at times. Kevin needs to understand, and he's done a great job, but some situational awareness in these second halves is driving me nuts. And I swear I'm going to start to lose it if he doesn't start to take 3 points. Like these 4-2s up 10, please stop. Please. You have a good kicker. If he misses, he misses. For the love of God, take the points. That's where I miss the Bill Belichick style of football. These analytics crap, it's all well and good when you're down or you're tied. When you're up 10, take the damn points.
If you're on a quarterback, just chuck the ball down the field. Nick Mullins is right there.
All right. It's funny you went on that tangent, Mike, because I'm going to do it different this week. I don't think Adam will be upset with this. We usually do game balls first, but I'm going to do donkeys first because there wasn't a lot to like in this game on the offensive side of the ball. I don't think I've given him one yet. Kevin O'Connell's getting my donkey this week. Can we stop trying to force feed plays and can we just scheme open the open player? And I know part of this is on Sam. Sam keeps looking for that hero play of the week. And I like to your point, Mike, I think you need a little bit of reckless. I think we kind of saw the Kirk Cousins story and we know what that was. We've seen that movie. We know how it ends. Yeah, I need my guy to be conservative 85% of the time. But when that 15% shows up based on all the variables looking you in the face, a.k.a. the defense, you got to take the shot. But yesterday, it was just like we are going to force the ball to Justin Jefferson and try. And Addison, too. He had a lot of targets.
Yeah, well, here's something kind of interesting. How many different wide receivers do you think Sam Bradford, or not Sam Darnold threw passes to?
Yesterday, 5?
2.
Yeah, I think it was. It wasn't enough. And I agree with where you're going, Adam.
Got passes where Jefferson and Addison, they were the only ones.
Yes, that's your true receivers. Yes. Jalen Naylor had a bad game. He was non-existent yesterday, Jalen Naylor. He was a ghost.
Oh, well, I got to say this, too.
Exist.
Yep.
I got to say this, too. It's not I understand it being on Sam, but this is why the coach is so important. We know this guy's the quarterback guru, and he's the offensive guy. They call him Sean McVay for a reason, but the quarterback's going to do what you need him to do, especially under these circumstances. Sam coming from terrible team 1, terrible team 2, basically redshirting for a year, and now you're here. he's going to listen to and do everything he can. Like, he's not the dude that can go out like old Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Mahomes now and be like, hey, I'm going to just scrap everything. I know what to do here. He still very much is in need of coaching. And while I put some blame on Sam for forcing it yesterday, I can't, dude. This was bad. And to your point, again, Mike, you got to take points when you need to take points. And if it wasn't for defense yesterday, they would have lost this game. And this would have been a narrative shifting. And I don't care what the rest of the national media says, but this would have been a narrative shifting, not good feeling going into the bye week. Luckily, you had veteran players that stepped up. Luckily, Brian Flores is coaching his butt off, and the players are playing better than he's coaching. But yeah, Kevin O'Connell, I didn't like that yesterday. No excuses on who's hurt. Everybody's hurt now. It's week 5. The good news is we're going to go into the bye week. People are going to get healthy. Maybe Hawkinson will come back.
Really early bye.
I hate the bye. I'm with you. Week 9 or 10 would be just about perfect. But yeah, I didn't like a lot of what I saw yesterday. But somehow that's the difference in this team thus far. Even when they faced a little bit of triumph, and I hate saying adversity because every NFL team says that word, but when they have some bumps in the road, they don't lose it and crumble. But yeah, it's 2 weeks in a row where I'm starting to see like not the best game planning after like that game in Green Bay should have been 40-14, and yeah, 22 points in the fourth quarter, and half of that too, man. I could go on and on. Kevin O'Connell,
I actually have a
better.
similar take to you. I think that if the Jets hadn't been as grabby as they were on Sunday, I think this game would have probably gone to the Jets.
Yeah. And we'll
Justin
talk about
Jefferson was drawing so many flags. It was wild.
Yeah, we were going to talk. That's exactly what I was going to say. We'll get into it with the game breakdown, but I think the Vikings got some calls yesterday, and lucky for them, they had the drums effect yesterday where they got a lot of yards from not catching balls. So that certainly helped swing the game a little bit.
Between not being existent on offense and that near mistake on punt return, Brandon Powell is getting my donkey.
Oof. That's sad. I like Brandon Powell. He took a man table.
I like him too, but he was not there today. He was not there that day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
All right, so I should give my donkey now?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, who's your donkey too, Mike? This is interesting.
Ty Chandler. Like, you know what? Screw it. Ty Chandler. He's not good. Like, you know what? I've tried to give him the time of day. This offense needs a solid, reliable RB2. And Kyle, you remember in August, I touched on this. I said, we cannot rely on him in pass protection. If you can't rely on your RB2 at all to pass protect, you need to bring in a new running back. I do not understand why we did not re-sign Cam Akers. It was so weird because it was rumored they brought him back, and then out of nowhere, he didn't actually sign. Very strange sequence of events that went on there. I know the Jaguars are crap, okay, and I seen this rumor from the Purple Persuasion about Travis Etienne, and I don't think that would quite happen. But there needs to be brought in an insurance policy for Aaron Jones. We know Aaron Jones has been injured throughout his career, and we know he's old. That's why he signed for so cheap, because he's a 29-year-old running back. You cannot.
Ty Chandler had 16 touches in that game for 39 yards.
Yeah. Ugh. And he can't pass protect. So you exclusively, on obvious passing situations, they had to put CJ Ham in there. So it makes it blatantly obvious what you're doing. Ty Chandler, I will give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. The 2 big runs he had were taken back through penalty. Thanks, Ed Ingram. I appreciate your stupidity every single game that you have to have one moment that drives me nuts. How on earth, I got to get this off. He's not the donkey because Ty Chandler was worse. How on earth you take a penalty on the opposite side of a run play? Come on, man. Let him go. He ain't doing nothing. I swear he does it on purpose at this point. And then the goal of him to say, I play well. Bro, Kyle and Adam, you can feel free to disagree. I swear, it feels like Ed Ingram has one stupid moment every single game. Every single game. Like, I don't know how he manages it.
Came in, but that's still not saying a lot.
Yeah, exactly. He has improved, but he still has these rookie mistakes. You cannot commit a penalty on the I don't think I've watched a lot of football in my life.
Oh, you can.
How on earth do you commit a penalty on the opposite side of a pitch play? I cannot block an NFL defender. And I could have the same relevance to that play as Ed Ingram. All he did was move to the left and touch the guy. Just leave. He's never, ever in a billion years tackling Ty Chandler. He was so... Anyway, I could go on and on about my Ed Ingram rants. I can't wait for Don Reiser to get back off IR. I want Ed to keep starting, but let me put it to you this way. If Ed Ingram has an Ezra Cleveland type injury where he's out for a week or two, I wouldn't be shocked if he never gets his job back.
I got to put this out there. You said two things that I love. Number one, this is hilarious. Now that I've gotten my gray hair, so that I've earned my Vikings fandom through pain and suffering, I used to just watch the quarterback back and wait to see what receiver went out. If there's good cameramen, you can actually see the play develop. I have started watching on the offensive side of the ball assignments. Like, hey, I'd like to see when we play the New York Giants, I'd like to see how many times Garrett Bradbury gets kicked by Dexter Lawrence. That's what I did. Yesterday, I said, I think Garrett Bradbury is going to have a tough time against Williams and whomever that other dump truck they had on the D-line there. So to your point, I didn't watch Ed Ingram yesterday, but I watched Garrett Bradbury get his ass thrown around yesterday a bunch. And we've said it on the show here. I know Adam is a much nicer opponent for Bradbury than maybe you or I would be, but I'd like to pair a gigantic center with our rookie quarterback here soon. So I think next year, if you're not looking,
Garrett Bradbury's a little undersized, and the guy they drafted this year, what was his name, Michael something, but he's even smaller.
I don't like it. I need a huge center that's going to do the job. They're not all Jason Kelsey's. I understand that, but don't like that. To your point, I said this in the chat yesterday. From the week before with the Packer game, I said, I better not see any damn to game or I'm going to throw some. Yesterday, about halfway through, I said, are we going to shop for a running back? Because this seems to be an issue. Looked it up with Kyle West. We were talking on the side. There are two familiar names that are out there and probably the best of the bunch. You need to call Jerick McKinnon or Latavius Murray because they are agents. And could they be worse than Ty Chandler? I don't think so.
I'm not going to lie. My heart from 2017 would love nothing more but to see Latavius Murray back. The guy still could play. I don't know how he can, but last year in Buffalo, he played well. Given his age, if he's just a reliable pass-blocking running back that can occasionally catch a screen to keep the defense honest, why not? I'm sorry.
I would love to bring in Jerick McKinnon. I think with the
I wouldn't hate that either.
He has a similarity with Aaron Jones. I don't think they run the same, but I do know from the 2017 year and those years with Kansas City, he can catch the ball, and he's not a bad blocker.
I would say to give Myles Gaskin some more looks, but I don't think he's anything special either.
No, he's too slow. I like Myles Gaskin more than Chandler as a pass blocker. It's not even close. But that's why he's been a fringe NFL running back, because when he was running yesterday, my God, he looked like a snail at times. He got
complete. 2 rushes for 2 yards.
Yeah, he's slow. And Kyle, how funny would it be if they brought back either McKinnon or Murray? Like,
I wouldn't
talk about nostalgia. It would be hilarious. And look, I'll put it to you this way: I would not cry a tear if they cut Ty Chandler and Myles Gaskin and brought in Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon on vet minimum deals. Now, I don't know if that would happen. I don't think it will, but I'll take, like you said, Kyle, one. Give me one NFL quality running back. And this is the thing. Kwesi is very cheeky in the trade deadline. I am not discounting him potentially bringing in a Raheem Mostert, somebody on a team where they have lots of depth at the position, and you could retain him for another year. That's what I could very well see happening, because Aaron Jones may not be on this team in a year from now, right? We don't know that. He's on a 1-year deal.
Right.
So we'll see what happens. But I completely agree with you, Kyle. They cannot, with this season, the way it's playing out, be arrogant enough to run back this running back room without Aaron Jones. We saw it yesterday. It's just unacceptable. You have nobody you can trust.
Ready for week 7. I mean, I don't know what you do.
I agree. I agree with you. You've got to bring somebody in. And I don't know. It's going to be tough. But look, that's why Kwesi's our GM. He's shown the ability to make trades on the fly out of nowhere. If you can get a team down on their luck, that's, I don't know who Tennessee's I should remember Tennessee's backup running back. It's not
I know they
Pollard.
got Tony Pollard.
They had that one guy. God, I'm not going to remember his name, but they drafted him a few years ago. But that's a team I'd call right now. Tennessee, Jacks. Why not kick the tires at least? Because I'm sorry, Ty Chandler's an RB3 that's used on literally obvious plays on outside zone runs, and that's it. That's all he's good for. And the occasional screen. He can't pass block. And when you can't pass block in the modern NFL as a running back, your usage is just not good enough. It's just not going to be utilized properly.
Too, man. I think that this regime, their leadership, this coach and GM are pretty tight. They have to realize this team is special. They saw it before the season started. If you don't think this team can't go for a run, I do believe this is a playoff team. How far? I don't know yet. Call me back right before Thanksgiving, and I'll tell you where I think we actually honestly are. But they got through the gauntlet part of the season undefeated, which none of them, not one person except anyone in that building for Minnesota, outside of the occasional fan on Rich Eisen, who jokingly said we're going 17-0. What's up?
Speaking of Rich Eisen, can we start a petition to get him on commentary every week?
Oh, you like him?
I couldn't stand him. I thought his Jets bias was so obvious to me from what I was watching. I seem like maybe I'm alone on this because I know he's a Jets fan. I seem like every time the Jets did anything, it was pretty. I'm not a big Eisen guy as a commentator. I don't know. The thing is, I feel like if you're a fan of a team, you should not be able to commentate a game. And some will say that's a bit much. When it's like a Rich Eisen, and it seemed that at least for me, it seemed very obvious. If you guys feel free to disagree, that's fine. They should have brought someone else on.
I didn't pay attention to him as much yesterday. I listened. This is really, I guess maybe people feel this way too. I'm too involved in the game where it didn't distract me. And I love his show. Like, I know you probably know it too. The reason he got picked is because he can talk on television. He understands the game and stuff. But nothing that went on yesterday distracted me from what was going on the field. But I did read in the comments today because he gave the Vikings a lot of props today on his show. It's hey, dude, they're the real deal. And they were like, hey, you shouldn't be wearing your Jets hat when you're commentating. And I was like, I didn't notice, but I also missed the first quarter because I was in church. So I didn't hear part of that, but I knew he was calling it, which was, cool for him. But yeah, I heard the same thing, Mike. I heard so I'm not
alone on that.
That are like, I definitely read it today on his YouTube channel. But Adam and I were talking about this before we started. Who's your least favorite commentator on the NFL Network on any of the stations?
Oh, like actual commentator, or like even from are you talking about even the countdown shows that counts, or just actual commentary? If we're talking about actual like guys that are on the panels, it's not even close. It's Steve Mariucci. God Almighty, he's awful. I mean, for the love of God, he's no. It's funny. I have a story, so it goes way back that my brother would joke around and call me Mooch, and it would really annoy me. So I took it really personal one year in fantasy. I made it my profile picture, and I ensured that I would take every week like I was going to war, and I won the fantasy league that year because I could not stand Steve Mariucci, and that nickname died ever since, which is funny. But Mooch I don't like. Okay. If we're talking about commentators, this is easy. Chris Collinsworth. God almighty. Every single week. My God. Like,
I am
Jesus Christ. For love of God, please. You like him?
Guy. I can't stand Troy Aikman. I can't stand
it. Aikman's bad too. I'll second you on that. Yeah, he's bad.
So Adam said a meme to us, like, one of these guys have to go. It's Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, and Chris Collinsworth. I was like, I'll be on the lone island that wants to keep Collinsworth. I'll keep Joe Buck, even though he's not my favorite. But I think we all were like, get Troy Aikman out of here.
Yeah, I would keep Buck out of those.
Yeah, for sure I'd keep Joe Buck. As much as I think he's pretty bad too. This Minneapolis Miracle call, and I've been one of his bigger critics of his commentary. He had a really good job on the Diggs sketch. He did a great job on that commentary of the Diggs.
Joe Buck,
Minneapolis Miracle. And he's been he commentates baseball, and you do see it at times because, man, that guy could be, God almighty, very boring. But he's a decent commentator. I can't stand Collinsworth or Aikman. I'm fine.
I still just don't like Buck from the Randy Moss Moon call.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's fair. I think he made up for it though in the Minneapolis Miracle. That's the way I've looked at it. But yeah, that was ridiculous. Yeah, what a disgusting act.
I
That's
like
so
to see
silly.
Rich Eisen point with Joe Buck. At least he's not picking a favorite. He's just basing off what he saw. He's very even keel. Which is real. That's why I could never do what they do because I love this team so much. Like it would show. I wouldn't be able to call Vikings games.
I'd sound like Paul Allen. That's exactly what I would do if I was a commentator. I'd sound exactly like Paul Allen.
Yeah, 100%. It's hard not to get your fandom in there. I would never be able to call a Vikings game, but it's funny because thinking about the Miracle, like they don't have any investment in there. They just need to have the moment be captured and to describe it in a way that's memorable. And I think they did a good job on that. But so we did our donkeys. We were going a little off the rails there for the sidebar, which was great. These are good stories. I'm gonna say this on the show. I'm gonna regret this. I can't play the game for the players. I can't coach for the coaches. So anything that I say will just be made fun of later. I think this is the Vikings' year. And I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I'll tell you this right now. Because the Vikings are going to win the Super Bowl this year, you heard it here on the show. And I'm not doing this. I'm saying this for real. This team feels very special. It's a wonky year for the NFL in points and like passing plays. Like, the defenses are showing up. Because Harrison Smith was a Hall of Fame numbers player, he wasn't going to get looks. But because they're going to win the Super Bowl this year, he's going to go in the Hall of Fame because he's going to have a ring to go with it. And he'll have better numbers than Troy Polamalu. Thank you. You're welcome. Good night. It's my game ball because that celebration on the Rodgers sack was amazing.
You are pulling on my heartstrings. You have no idea the amount of tears I will happily admit to crying if the Vikings are winning Super Bowl. It'd be like Niagara Falls. God Almighty,
there, Mike. Because I'm going to be just like I was in our Purple People Pod chat yesterday. If we have a game like yesterday in the Super Bowl where Sam Darnold just throws an interception and they win like that, I'm going to be pissed forever. Because you know what's going to happen? If the Vikings win the Super Bowl like they won this game yesterday, and it was ugly and terrible, and it's the worst Super Bowl since that 13-3 Rams-Patriots one with Goff, they're still going to put a statue of Sam Darnold and Kevin O'Connell outside that stadium. And that's the only one, and everyone's going to hate us forever. Be like, yeah, I remember that Super Bowl where your terrible team won that dog shit game where they won 20-10, and it was awful, and my eyes burned. I was happy the team won, but I hope it's not like that. I would be that fan that complains, but I'm happy with yesterday and the win. Otherwise, the game was brutal, man. I'm just glad nobody got seriously injured. That's the win yesterday.
That's especially on that crappy turf that injured Lewis Sean just a couple of years ago. I'll tell you right now, Kyle, I would cry so many tears if we won a game in the Super Bowl just like that Raiders game last year. 3-0. I would cry so much because of what it would represent. If Sam Darnold becomes our Nick Foles, that would be the biggest wow moment as my life as a Vikings fan. And since you mentioned the feeling you've gotten, Kyle, and I know this season's special to you, and it's special to me too, and why I'm starting to get a little – this team reminds me of 09. They punch you in the mouth, and they don't give it back. And is there more of a quarterback in the sense of his insanity and recklessness at times? Maybe Josh Allen would one-up Sam Darnold that plays like Brett Favre, where sometimes – and he has those wow moments, and you just look at a throw and you say, wow. With the way Darnold's playing this season, of course – I'm removing the other 6 years of irrelevance because it was disgusting. It was horrible. But he's got guts. And you need guts to win a Super Bowl. And I'm not getting there yet because, God, my heart can't take that. But what I would do if this team could get over the hump, it would be special.
Kyle and I have said this together, and we will be the worst Twitter follows in the history of anything Vikings related. I will be insufferable for 6 months. Every single day. Just like 51st dates, I will wake up and say, it's a great day to be a world champion. Skull. I'll be that guy that was in the restaurant yesterday that we're all making fun of, the guy that does the Vikings song, and he looks like a total cornball. I forget his name. He's all over Vikings Twitter, but I'll be that guy for 6 months every day on the day. I'll wear, against my company's policy, I will wear Vikings Super Bowl-related stuff every single day until the opening kickoff of that next season. I'll be the worst.
That's great.
And I'll tell you one thing: I'll take whatever credit card that I have and I'll max it out. I'm going to that parade and I'm getting hammered. I don't drink like that, but I'll be hammered at that parade in Minnesota, freezing my rear end off because I love this team that much. I do have a special day. Roping it back in, and I'll get your game ball after this, Mike. But you can see, unless it falls off the rails like 2016, which that was the only other team to do that, to go 5-0 and not make the playoffs.
And that was just him. Different era.
Different team, quarterback together, whatever. But you're right. It feels different. I see the 09 reference there. Good enough on offense to hurt you really quick and strike, but the defense is the story of this year. I think there's a play team. We'll see what happens. If they get home field advantage, I'll feel a whole lot better. But I think the hardest test is still to come. I think Detroit's going to be the one team that's going to stand in the way of that because they're just good everywhere, and they'll have to play more like they played against the 49ers and the Texans and the last 2 weeks against the 49ers. But
agreed.
The Packers are beatable. I'm not worried too much about the Bears now with a breathable schedule coming up. My only focus on this team is just win the division. That's all I care about. Win the division, host a playoff game.
Speaking of Packers, have you guys been following this Romeo Doubs situation?
Yes, I've seen that. What exactly caused the suspension?
Apparently, he's unhappy with his pass share.
So he's Stephon Diggs of Green Bay.
So he is skipping practices and getting suspended.
You know what's crazy? No. And the thing is, as much as I criticize Diggs, he's good. Like he's been a top 10 receiver for you. Romeo Doubs he's mid. Like he's the definition of mid. He's just a guy. Like, bro, that's like if Brandon Powell said, "I want more touches." Maybe not one for one.
Mid.
But like,
don't do that.
No, but he's just a guy. Well, actually, I take that back. He's a very good punt returner. We saw that last week with Jalen. One punt return, and Naylor couldn't get it right last week against Green Bay.
He was looking into the sun. I'll give him that benefit.
But all he had to do was just, what's funny is all he had to do was just step over to the left and let the ball bounce in the end zone. Like it's 100% how that was going to end.
You notice the Vikings haven't had him back there returning punts yet again.
No.
Yeah, don't do that. No. He lost that privilege real fast.
No. You know what I heard was Ashley was telling me on my Spaces yesterday. Apparently Powell was hurt in that moment of the Green Bay game. That's why he didn't take that punt returner. And it makes sense. I've looked it back because I was so angry at Naylor. And I'm a Naylor guy, right? You know that, Kyle. I've backed Naylor since we drafted him out of Michigan State.
He's had some nice flashes.
Yes, he's a good player. Good player. But I went back and looked because I was so angry. Powell has returned every single punt this season, just not that one. And it's just so Vikings. The one, for the love of God, he's injured for literally 5 minutes.
Right.
And he can't even just punt. All you do is fair catch, too. I'm pretty sure he was trying to fair catch it, and he just muffed it horribly. But anyway, it is what it is. But doesn't Adam have to give his game ball before me?
No, you can do it.
No? You sure? Ahead. I don't want to step on anyone's toes. Okay.
Well, I got multiple.
Okay, perfect. I guess I'll just keep it generic here. My game ball is Andrew Van Ginkel.
That's easy.
This guy's, for the first 5 weeks, he's a contender for Defensive Player of the Year. And I will not hear it any other way. 2 pick sixes as an edge? Are you kidding me? His hands are like silk. How on earth? He's doing some JJ Watt stuff back in the day. His hands are unbelievable. And I was joking around with my really good Vikings pal that I grew up with, been buddies, friends with since probably like grade 4. And we should have Gink on a trick play, catch a ball. Because with the way the other guys were catching the football yesterday on the 1 yard line, why not? It could be the mini fridge on a 1 yard touchdown catch or something. Anyway, I digress. But Gink has been fantastic.
Exactly what he was doing when he went and got him. That was his guy.
Absolutely. That's why we let Hunter go. And it caused so much anger. I said, trust Brian Flores. I trust Brian Flores. The signings that Jonathan Grenard and Andrew Van Ginkel have been basically 10s out of 10 just for the first 5 weeks.
I mean, they're no Marcus Davenport, but what can you do?
Oh, God. He's just trying to fuck me up. Andrew Van Ginkel is the first player in NFL history with 3 sacks, multiple interception return touchdowns in his team's first 5 games of a season. Pretty sick. And there's another graphic going around out there, and I know that these teams are down. Like, it's unfair to pick on Tyreek Hill and all these players because, like, his starting quarterback's out. Miami looks terrible. But he has more touchdowns than some very high-level guys out there, and he's a defensive player.
An edge, too, not even a corner. Like, if that was a corner, I could see it. An edge? That's crazy.
Speaking of corners, there was a guy that took a while to get to Minnesota, and Minnesota spent a nice chunk of change on him. But Stephon Gilmore sealing that game away. He turned around and made that great play at the very end of the game, and that sealed it. And that was what needed to happen because, I'll be honest, Aaron Rodgers, it was an opportunity for a game-winning drive, scared the poop out of me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I agree.
I gotta call Mike out for this one. Mike didn't like the Stephon Gilmore signing. We got it. He didn't like it at all.
Okay, let me since you brought it up, you know the context before it though. I said in isolation I had no problem with the sign, but I'm not gonna lie. Because Cousins' injury the past year and then McCarthy going down the way he did, after you gotta remember the context, he was elite in that game. For a preseason game, he gave you as much as you could have possibly had. For a debut, I saw red. And it's not even Sam Darnold's fault. And I had to be the first to say, we're about 6 games away from me eating some real serious crow. But Kyle, what do I always say? I love to be wrong. I'd have no problem being wrong. And you can't do content creation if you're not willing to admit when you're wrong. Colin Coward. In all seriousness, I'm happy that I've been wrong. And the Gilmore signing in isolation, I had no problem with. I knew he'd be good. My concern with this team was this defense could be a top 10 unit, which they are, but we'd have no offense. Essentially, actually, the best way to describe it is what happened yesterday, but for 17 games. That's what my fear was of Sam Darnold. 170 yards passing, a pick, the occasional touchdown here or there, 17 touchdowns, 15 picks. That's obviously not going to happen based off the way he's playing, but now that you understand the context to it.
There's not like any crazy, like I can't call you a crazy person for saying that because I kind of felt the same. We all kind of like, let's see what Sam Darnold can do. I think the major thing about this year that we have to look down on is this team reminds me the most of 2017, where you have the coordinators in place and the coaches, right? And we're basically with a quarterback, but he's playing lights out. Is coaching matters. And I've said that a couple times on the show during the season so far, but this coach, like I said it on your space, and I'll say it on this show to put it in the ether forever, is there was a lot of people riding the KFC jock last year, pun intended there, but I wasn't fully sold. Yeah, you were competitive up to the last week, but part of that was on the players for like not living up to it. Like, your last win was 3-0 against the Raiders, and then you didn't win a game for the rest of the year. It was not a good way to go out. But due to injuries, all that, I was like, okay, I still believe in Kevin O'Connell. He's a good coach. Let's see what he does. Going into the year, him and Questy not getting extended and then doing these signings that they did, drafting who they drafted, there was a little bit of pause to be like, man, I hope this works, because it was sort of a downward trend, especially since Lewis Seen got cut, all that. But I'll tell you what, dude's on fire, and right now, like, hands down, he's the coach of the year through 5 weeks. Coaching matters, and I love these little nitpicking signings because, like, we lost Danielle Hunter. I love Danielle Hunter. He's one of my favorite Vikings I've ever watched. I thought it was going to be a major blow. You don't have to have that one all-star, and you're going to see it around the league. And just like you said, Mike, the context is different for each team. Cleveland, I'm sorry to the passionate, hardworking fans of that town. Your team reaps what they sow for signing that piece of shit at quarterback and the horrible things he did. At this point, I feel bad for Kevin Stefanski. He's probably going to get let go before they let go of quarterback paid, which is asinine. But this is the time of the season where teams like that in Jacksonville, they start auctioning off pieces. You think Myles Garrett wants to play for that shitty team anymore? I doubt it. We don't have to worry about that with we got this guy at defensive end, and then everybody else will figure out. They went and signed a bunch of B+ players. They don't have that superstar dude. Even Stephon Gilmore is not the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year anymore. But I need one game. I need one person per week to show up, and it could be a plethora of dudes. This week it was Stephon Gilmore to seal and Giggleshot. The last 2 weeks it was Gruger Hill, which I didn't even know. I didn't know he was on the team. and Blake Cashman was balling out against the Texans, his former team, Jonathan Gennard. If we rotate that around and the team keeps playing without that regular statistical mindset, this team's going to do awesome stuff, and they really could catch fire. I'm going on a tangent, but my whole point to that was to say that coaching matters. This year, coaching matters, and you're seeing that with Darnold. Because I was like you, man. I was like, hey, we paid him this amount of money. He'll start until J.J. McCarthy beats him out or he plays bad enough that he loses it.
Yep.
But to that point of what Adam sent in that video today, like, there's no chance they were coming off the Sam Darnold. Are you kidding me? Dude, outside of this game, this dude was talking – he was like MVP of the league so far.
Yes. You know what drives me nuts is – and again, they do it for attention partly. And I do think that Scorenorth does care to see this team win a Super Bowl. I have no doubt in that. But what I do hate about parts of the Vikings fan base is when it's up, everyone goes overboard. 17-0, blah, 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 with the memes and this and that and the other. We struggle and we win a game. And the offense, like, it could have been a lot better, sure. It wasn't completely atrocious. We committed 2 turnovers, and really, both of them were avoidable. It was Kevin making bad decisions. You kick a field goal on 4th and 2 in field goal range, and you surely at 3rd and 15 run the damn ball up 10 and punt it away. So, like, it drives me nuts. And I love J.J. McCarthy. I'm calling him Michigan man for the season, just for context. So I'm going to go back to saying that. I love Michigan man. I don't know who that is, but he is Michigan man until the season ends, as of right now. But Sam Darnold, he had one bad game, and we won. And when we needed a drive, he did it. How many times, Kyle, did we see Kirk Cousins up 3, up 6? Please tack on points. 3-0, fun. And I'm not a Cousins hater. I have his jersey right next to me. But reality is what it is. There's a reason why Atlanta's in 1-score games every single week. He has a gravitational pull. He has a gravitation. Yes, 100%. But everyone's going to talk about the 509 yards, and that's awesome. They still won in overtime. Are you nuts? You threw for 509 yards and your team didn't blow out the opponent. You won in overtime? Are you serious? I can't speak for you guys. The victory formation feels damn good, and I can get used to this feeling for a long time. Because, man, I was starting to forget what that looked like for the purple and gold. I really did.
So I got a really hard question for you guys. Are you Saints fans tonight?
No.
I think it's yes.
No, I can never root for anybody in our conference. No.
Only because
all the juju against them from 2009. No, I'm going to be that guy. Fuck them. I hope they lose.
They're the only undefeated team in the league.
Yes, that's where I was going with it. And I actually don't think the Saints are as good as they started the year. They beat down on a couple bad teams.
Yeah,
I think that's really what it was. Like Carolina's crap. Who did they beat the other game? Oh, Dallas. I think they're pretty crap. It's funny. Even though Kamara's like at the end of his career, he still cooked Zimmer again. How crazy is that? He's old and he still torched him. That's wild.
Bad. I feel bad. I'm not going to defend Zimmer. Like they're hurting right now on both sides of the ball for injuries. But he said in that wild interview that you and I talked about on your space about and Adam shared with us is he's like, I just want to prove that I can still coach. This is not the year for that. If he would have been the defensive coordinator last year, I think he would have cemented like maybe a 2 or 3 year contract. This is not the year for it, and they look like a shell of themselves. It's partly their fault for not drafting good, like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny that every coach and this team's kryptonite the last 10 years has been the Eagles. They've won once. And Seattle during the Russell Wilson era. We couldn't beat Seattle with Russell Wilson to save our lives. But, yeah.
And now Russell Wilson can't beat out Justin Fields.
Nope. Hey, I don't think he's getting that job back either. I do want to say this, though, Kyle, and I'll go the other way. I think it's Zimmer's fault. You know what? Like, I'm sorry. I said this to you, Kyle. You remember me saying his scheme is washed. Like, it gets abused. People know how to to go against his scheme.
Yeah.
And the double A blitz, A gap blitz, and they abuse him. And look,
you have to have the prime. You would have to have the perfect draft for like 3 years and nail every pick to run that system the correct way.
Yes.
You'd have to have basically what he does, and correct me if I'm wrong, but he wants to run sort of that Seattle Legion of Boom style defense that they had. They don't have those players, and I love
he likes the big physical corners. Yes.
Big physical corners and linebackers can do it all. And if you can get there with 4, you can get there with 4, right? And then I'll rush you with the leg and all that. They don't have the players for that. They have an outstanding pass rusher and some good edges, a couple of corners. Everybody's hurt right now. So when you don't draft well because you're all in, like they're not going to be good. Washington's going to win that division this year.
Oh yeah, and that's why I'm going against what you said is. Look what Dan Quinn's doing in Washington. Maybe I can't believe I still hate Dan Quinn for that 28-7 because I hate Tom Brady to this day, and I always will. But for the love of God, I still hate Matt Ryan. He got addicted to the Falcons Ring of Honor last week. I said I still hate you. I still don't want you to be. You don't deserve to be a Hall of Famer. I said it like 4 times just seeing his face. Every time I see him on CBS, I say it. Every time. No, I can't stand Matt Ryan. You know why? I love Julio Jones. And they took a Super Bowl away from him. He made one of the greatest catches in Super Bowl history no one talks about.
And Matt Ryan was teams. The Kansas City Chiefs aren't chiefing this year. They look kind of bad.
No, when you got the 13th man though, or the 12th man in the refs, you're going to make it okay for a long stretch of time. But I agree with you though. It will catch up to them if they keep playing like this. And if Rice is hurt, they're in trouble. They're in more trouble than people realize.
And Kelsey definitely does not look very Kelsey these days.
No. I think he's happy with his, hope for him, future, wife possibly, and Taylor Swift and his podcast.
He's getting older, so he doesn't look as swift.
Oh boy.
That was a dad joke, but it actually got me. In all seriousness, I agree. He's always kind of looks slower. Like he's always had that Jason Witten vibe when he catches the ball. He's faster than Jason Witten, don't get me wrong. But when he runs, it doesn't look that dynamic. Like when Gronk did things, you're like, holy crap. Antonio Gates, holy crap. Tony Gonzalez even at 40, holy crap.
Gronk was a polar bear with a helmet on.
Yes.
Why I like Travis Kelce. To your point, what you're saying is he's not the fastest dude, but he's in betweener of he's like a big receiver. And what Bill Belichick or who was it that broke it down not too long ago? They were saying like what makes him like possibly the GOAT? Like they're not saying he was like what puts him in the conversation
for
the middle of the field. The middle of the field, dude.
The way he gets great space.
Open.
Yes.
It's annoying.
Yep.
It's very annoying. But I agree with both of you. I don't know. The Chiefs don't look the same. And it was held a three-peat. Obviously, it's never been done. I don't know. I'm rooting for them that way. They'll keep winning. The Saints won't win, and then the attention will be on. Well, there's still 2 undefeated teams because if all the attention goes to Minnesota, that's when the rails fall off for me, and I don't want that. So,
and while we're talking about tight ends, T.J. Hawkinson will be able to come back after the bye if he's ready against Detroit.
Yeah.
They might hold on for another week, but what does that mean for the Minnesota Vikings offense when he returns?
Well, it's huge. It's huge, and I don't think enough people again. Why I said context to the performance. No Aaron Jones last morning, technically. It matters. When you don't have a guy you can rely on in the middle of the field to be a safety valve, and again, JJ is going to cook defenses a lot more than he did the Jets because the Jets have one of the best secondaries in all of football. I think only Denver beats them because I think that highly of Pat Surtain. And I'm always the guy that's too much money. When I saw Surtain, I'm like, yeah. He earned every penny. And it takes a lot for me to say that because he's that good. But the Jets are so good that I don't think people realize that's what affected our offense. But if you have Hawkinson in that game, I think we blow them out. I think we win by 10-plus points.
And I don't
we needed that middle of the field guy.
Back to Johnny Munt or Josh Oliver.
No. But they're not good enough to rely on for a season. And that's why they are RB2s. Tight end 2s, tight end 3s. For that exact reason.
Yeah.
I've been saying this for the last month or two. I love our tight end depth, and I love that there is a player of every skill level at every tier in this tight end room. TJ Hawkinson, all pro when he's playing at his highest. Josh Oliver is a serviceable starting tight end in the NFL. Johnny Munt is a great tight end 2/3. And I just like Nick Muse because he's a Carolina kid. I don't know, but he does well when he's there.
No, he's better than people realize. No, I like Nick Muse. It's too bad he got hurt. Yes. I think we could have used him a lot this stretch because he's very good as a pass catcher.
But I love the fact that they all do what the team needs them to do pretty well. Like Johnny Munt has made a bunch of third down catches and a bunch of random catches because he's the only one open. Josh Oliver, solid signing. Obviously, we missed TJ Hawkinson, but what happens when TJ Hawkinson comes back is the obvious. Now the defense has to truly pick their poison on saying which of my guys is better than your go-to guy because you have 3 legitimate threats to catch the ball. I don't think anyone in their right mind that's watched this game and this team specifically says, well, I'm not worried about Jefferson. Let me double TJ Hawkinson the whole time. You're going to double Justin Jefferson if you're smart. So you're going to leave Jordan Addison, who's very shifty, and TJ Hawkinson. You're going to leave the middle of the field completely vulnerable. And I love that for Sam Darnold. I love that. As much as I like the guys to throw outside the numbers, if you're going to give me double-covered Justin Jefferson and the midfield, whatever KOC wants to cook up for Brandon Powell, Jalen Naylor, TJ Hawkinson, and Jordan Addison, dude, be my guest. That's death by 1,000 paper cuts the whole day.
Don't forget about Aaron Jones as a receiver. He is deadly.
He's fantastic. I guess I didn't realize because I hate Green Bay so much. Man, he is a fantastic receiver. I knew he was good. Like I knew he wasn't a Adrian Peterson pass catcher, but like, holy crap, this guy can go and jump up for a 40-yard catch.
Oh yeah,
like that's pretty wild. But unfortunately, you hurt his hip.
In Green Bay, I love that they were getting him a touchdown so he could do a Lambo. They were trying like crazy to get him to score. It was funny. Yeah, that's what happens when TJ Hawkinson comes back. This is truly going to be like, hey, pick your poison because every level they've drafted well. And that some people weren't a fan of that trade at the time. It's a great signing. I said he got hurt last year. I still think that was a shitty play from Kirby Joseph, but it is what it is.
And he did it the next week to Higbee in the playoffs too. Literally the next week.
Anything that makes it easier on Sam Darnold, I am in.
Yeah, 100%, Adam. That's 100% correct. Make his life easy and get back to what you do well. I'm with Mike on that too. The play calling, don't try to get too fancy with it. It might have bitten them in the ass one time, particular that we think of in the NFC Championship game. Like Detroit, that's a team where you're like, no, fuck it, we're going for it every time on 2. Yeah, you got the horses to do that, and I think they're the only team in the NFC constructed better than the Vikings right now. With just every level is just holy shit, that's a dude. Starting with the line,
but we all know Detroit's going to roll the dice every time. Every time they like to gamble.
And I don't think we should do that. I don't think this team's quite there. They do have some great skill players, and if I was the Lions, absolutely. I don't think this team should do that. Maybe if you're up, take the points, but I get it. Yes. You want to set an edge and get a mentality. I just hope it doesn't come down to that one particular play that loses us a game. But
yes,
I get what they're trying to do. It wasn't my favorite, but I don't know. I don't like this Detroit game, dude. I don't like it at all. I think this is the one team that could have our number just because it's going to be a shootout. But I also have seen too, and we'll talk about the stats here in a second and finish the Jets review. But that is the one thing coming up when we preview this Lions game is when Jared Goff gets rattled, he doesn't play well. So I'm interested to see how Brian Flores schemes up the pressure and to see what they do to contain because they got the horses, man. Jahmyr Gibbs is a stud. Jameson Williams can burn you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, he's awesome. He doesn't get the credit.
Montgomery, too, at running back is a problem.
Montgomery's very good, and they have a wonderful offensive line. So, and not to mention the tight end's pretty good, too. So, we'll see. We'll preview the Lions game in just a second. I do want to run down some stats just because you have to talk about them in this game in particular because they were really bad. Sam Darnold was less than 50% on the day. It was really bad. He had a 53 rating and a 19.5 QBR. It was terrible. Rodgers wasn't great either. 3 interceptions. He threw the ball 54 times. You never want that to happen. Breece Hall only carried the ball 9 times, so Robert Saleh figured that out. Ty Chandler, 14 for 30. Gross. Justin Jefferson, 14 targets. Jordan Addison, 8 targets. Both of them together, 9 catches total. So that's a lot. 22 targets for 9 receptions isn't great. No receiving touchdowns yesterday. 2 fumbles, 1 loss. That was unfortunate. Harrison Smith was the leading tackler of the day, tied with Cashman, Bynum, Gilmore, Ivan Pace. The stats of the day were 11 quarterback hits, which means there's even more hurries. 9 passes defended.
I hate to dip out on you guys, but my nephew just showed up, and I got some stuff I got to do, so I'm going to take off.
All right.
No worries.
We'll finish.
Take care. Nice recording with you. Nice. Thank you, Adam.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right. Now that he's gone, we can go off the rail. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
So about the UFC? I'm kidding.
Yeah, we'll talk UFC on the Purple People Pod in a minute. Yeah, this is basic stat line. I would like to see more of the linebackers getting the tackles, but it is what it is. It's an ugly game. But, 3 sacks on the day, 4 tackles for loss, 9 passes defended, 7 quarterbacks hit, and then the defensive touchdown from Van Ginkel. Another great stat to round out the special teams, Will Riker. Good 3 for 3, 2 for 2, along with 54. The dude's been clutch. We don't win the game if he doesn't. If he isn't perfect yesterday. So, overall, like just summing up that game in review, it was ugly. I'm not sure why. It was bound to happen at some point. Well, I was thinking about this earlier today. It's just a weird football thought, but a lot of people are going to get fired because over the next couple of years, because there's a lot of not playing your starters. And I think the preseason is important to do that. Now, if one of your star players gets hurt, you criticize for that either way. But what we're seeing now is like figuring it out on the fly, but the wins and losses matter. And that's why teams like the Cowboys, obviously the context there is like you have to draft better and more free agents, but playing starters and coming out looking rusty, you can't afford to look rusty. Like Baltimore, thank God they're on a hot streak. They were so close to starting 0-3. Like Cincinnati's done. Joe Burrow played his butt off yesterday. They have like a 5% chance to make the playoffs. And it's you can't do this like figure the season out as it starts. You have to be ready. So I'm glad this team had it figured out and proved all of us wrong because they're like, all right, just wait and see. That's fine. I expected them to be 2-3 going into the bye. It's really crazy. Yesterday wasn't a fun thing to watch. I'm actually glad that I missed part of the first start of the game. But if they can go through all that, play like crap, and then still figure out a way to win and somebody steps up, cool. And I'm with Adam before he had to leave. I was like, man, Rodgers is going to come back and they're going to find the end zone. And I was screaming like, no, cover 2. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Oh, luckily, yeah.
Luckily, Gilmore figured it out. But, yeah, I'm happy. I'm with you. I can't believe this team is defeated. No. I'm very shocked, especially with the outlier being the elephant in the room to start the year. They're starting Sam Darnold. And Homeboy's played very well this year. Yeah. He's played very well.
I'm not usually the petty guy. You know that. But I'm going to be in this case. You sure the Cincinnati Bengals don't want to trade for Justin Jefferson anymore? For sure.
It's funny you say that.
I'm sorry.
The guy I used to work with in Nashville, huge Bills fan. He always teased about Jefferson wants to play for a winner. You know, Joe Cool needs to get the band back together. And I texted him that when they started 0-3, and I was like, you guys couldn't afford him anyways, but maybe you should worry about protecting your boy and tell him to stop dyeing his hair like he's in sync.
He looks like Eminem. He looks like old school Eminem. And it doesn't suit him, by the way, like at all. Not that I care. No. I could care. He could be bald and I wouldn't care. I'm not a beauty expert. I could care less. But it's so cringe that the media and everybody laughs it up. Like he looks like a clown, and people are just accepting it because he almost won a Super Bowl. Okay.
Yeah. He's a good quarterback. He is. In a good way, and it sucks that they're going to go through some drama because they can't figure it out. We were on the in-between. You either figure it out, do what the Vikings did, or you don't figure it out, where you pay a player ahead of time like the Jags did with Trevor Lawrence, and you're like, hey, I'm paying you on potential, but also sort of what I've seen and believing. You do what the Vikings do, where you say, all right, look, hey, we're going to take care of you. We're just not doing it right now. Thank God they did, because had Justin Jefferson had to go into this season and get paid, dude would be making $40 million next year as a receiver. And then you do what the Bengals are doing, where it's like, I don't know if T. Higgins or Jamar Chase will be on that team next year. I think one of them will be.
Chase will be. Chase will be.
And now what do you have to pay him? You know what I mean? Like, just the same.
Chase is going to want. He's going to want more money than Jefferson. Look at the year he's having. And you can clearly tell what he's doing. Yeah, I've never seen a more obvious contract year season in my life. He looks like rookie Jamar Chase all over again.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you mention that, because you can notice it even not being a fan of the team. But also, what I was saying is that's what's happening in Dallas. I don't think Mac's going to be a Cowboy next year. I don't know how you can afford to pay him and Michael Parsons. And I go with the age, would take the risk of building a team around a rookie quarterback or a.
But they paid Dak though. They paid Dak though.
Did they pay him?
Yes.
About that the day
$60 million a year.
Okay, so they might lose Micah Parsons then. My bad. I forgot all about that. Probably because they're not relevant right now. If they were winning, I definitely would have remembered.
They paid him.
Cincinnati Bengals owners are more. There's been so many players that they'll let leave.
Yeah. Yep.
Cheap ownership.
Yes.
That's not good. Especially when
Mike Brown's a terrible owner. He's terrible.
He's one like that to the Super Bowl. You should definitely take care of. That's why I love this team, man. After visiting the practice facility last year, you see like they actually care about the players in the atmosphere.
I've always criticized the Wolves for pushing every year. This time they might actually get away with it. What a story that would be. And you know the Wolves would love every moment, and I would too. If the Wolves say I told you so, I'll happily support the Vikings the rest of my life as a Super Bowl champion. And I don't care what happens after this year. If we win a Super Bowl, I could care less. I'll obviously watch every game, but a lot less stress when you've seen one in your life, because there's a lot of teams that never get to say that. And it's crazy. But where was I going with this? The Wolves are so good as owners when it comes to paying players. They are so they will always do it. Sometimes you'll say they go above and beyond.
I understand from the business standpoint, even though they understand you need a brand, and if you're going to own real estate or any major business that's successful, you know there's a brand behind it. The NFL's brand is a couple of players or one key player, and they understood like, hey, Kirk might have been the dude for, and we trust coaches to go with that guy. But Justin Jefferson, they fully embrace, and I'm going to call a spade, call it what it is. For some older, light-skinned gentlemen who probably aren't as in tune with hip and the African American community, to lean in and pay a guy like that, I thought that said a lot. To be like, hey, we actually understand the pulse of what we do as owners in this league, which is really cool. What I'm saying in short is, I'm glad they supported paying and sticking with Jefferson, because, dude, generationally, he might have Randy Moss numbers for his career. He
might be better
right now. He
might be better than Moss. Because you got to remember, if he could stay healthy, that's goes without saying. Moss took a lot of years off or not a lot, but a couple years off in Oakland. Like he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm good. Art Shell, thank you for trading for me. I guess I'm good. I'll pass.
But I'm glad they leaned into him being the face of the franchise and trusting. Like they let coaches do their job. They're such the anti-Cowboys. It makes me, because this isn't like, obviously Jerry Jones probably impacted a lot of people in positive ways. And when I say what I'm going to say, which is really mean, I don't mean it with bad intent, but the best thing that's going to happen for the Cowboys is the day he passes away, business-wise. I don't hope that happens now. I don't wish any ill will on him.
No.
But he puts his hand in that cookie jar.
Far too much. Oh yeah. Yep.
And it's
Did you see the quote? Did you see the quote a few weeks ago? He said, someone asked him about potentially bringing in a GM in the future. He said, there is nobody in this planet that could be a better GM than me. That's exactly what you said. It goes exactly to your point. He's too egotistical to get out of the way. That's why I'm convinced Bill will never go there, because Bill will want to run the team and Jerry won't let him.
Yeah. It's Brett. It hits the GM for the Chiefs, right? Brett Veach.
Yeah, Brett Veach. Yeah. No kidding.
I think he would like a word there.
Yeah,
guy.
No kidding.
You can't even say you're the best GM in your division. Howie Roseman's a better GM than you, Jerry.
The guy from Washington, I think it's Adam Peters. The guy in Washington too, Adam Peters. He was a former assistant GM in San Fran. They just hired him, right? Because new regime. He's done a pretty good job with Washington. Done a real good job.
That's laughable, dude. That Jerry Jones, and he actually believes it. I understand.
Yes, he does. Just like Olin. Oh, he believes it. He believes it.
It's crazy. Like, I understand he's a great businessman. He's worth a lot of money, which is great.
Yep.
But just having to be the center of attention, like he landed on the practice field in a helicopter not too long ago. It's like, okay, dude.
Yep.
Whatever.
Eagle.
Yep. Yeah, Vikings win. Sorry, 2017 London. I think they're undefeated in London so far, which is crazy.
3-0. Yep. 3-0.
I've watched all those games. They've been a lot of fun. I do remember the Jared Allen attack on Ben Roethlisberger back in the day that maybe should have been roughing the passer. I think they beat the Saints a couple years ago, and that 13.
No, Browns. Oh, the Browns. And the reason I remember it, that was the year we were losing to the Browns. The year they went 0-16. We were losing. I said, we're not going to really lose to the Browns, right? I'm saying to myself, Case Keenum, you better not.
Because Adam Thielen did the soccer celebration.
Yes. Right. Yes.
That was a good one.
Yes, he did. The one was pretty good yesterday. I didn't realize it. That was a pretty good reference with it. There was a movie or something that what's her name?
Trap. I never saw it. I guess I'm getting old. But
what's that girl's name? She Lindsay Lohan. She was like so young in that movie. I didn't even know she. I'm not a big movie buff. God, I'm probably 10 times worse than you are, Kyle, with that stuff. But it was a cool celebration.
Yeah, they squeak it out. I'm excited going forward, and I'll pull it up real quick. I'll do it on my computer. But the Vikings have a very winnable stretch coming up. Now, I do think, preview it now, I do think that this Detroit game, I think Detroit's their biggest enemy the rest of the year. So play at 1 p.m. at home. They host the Lions. Then they have a quick turnaround Thursday night in L.A. versus the Rams. But after that, there is a winnable stretch. And I don't think you should take any team for granted. But they are at home against the Colts, and then they visit the Jaguars, the Titans, and the Bears. If they can come out of this 6-game stretch with only a loss to, say, Detroit, you're going to sit atop the NFC, still going to be the NFC North, and they're going to be sitting pretty. And this is the part of the schedule where I'm not saying it's going to be easy, but these are inferior teams. The Jaguars are inferior. The Titans are inferior. The Bears haven't figured it out yet. Shout out to Caleb Williams. He figured it out. I do think they're better than the Colts. The Rams are depleted.
If we lose to them, I'll be really mad. They're injured, injured everyone. Yeah.
The second part of that stretch, you are at home for the Cardinals, home for the Falcons. That Falcons game is going to be unreal.
We can't lose to Kirk if we're going to win the Super Bowl. Has never beaten a team that's went on to win the Super Bowl. So I guess we have to beat Kirk Cousins. It's a must.
Yeah,
mind you, we will. Revenge. Revenge is a dish best served cold. And Raheem Morris is a bottom 10 head coach. I said it. Remember, Kyle, you remember.
Oh, there we go.
He's crap at his job. How many times, I don't know if you watched the primetime game against Tampa last week. Looking at the score, the box like this. Like, bro, you're in another universe, man. And I knew he was going to be crap because he was crap with Tampa Bay, with Josh Freeman back in the day. How on earth he got that job over Bill Belichick is nuts.
It's a control thing. Like you were talking about with Dallas. Bill would come in and think he's the owner, which he has every right to be because he's the greatest.
Oh, he does.
Ever.
He's Bill Belichick.
It's funny. But let's break this down, too. The Lions next week. The Lions 2
weeks.
That poses the biggest challenge, and we end the season in Detroit. But let's go down the list of it. So at home for the Lions, at the Rams, home for the Colts, 3 road game stretch, Jags, Titans, and Bears, 3 home games, Cardinals, Falcons, Bears, at the Seahawks on Christmas week. Like that, all that feels like a trap game. Packers at home, and then the Lions away. If we're being realistic, if they play like they're playing now and barring some catastrophic injuries, I feel like this team probably has 2 or 3 losses schedule coming up, and that could be it. I think they're better overall than most of these teams. I feel like a trap game is due. There will be one. I think
it was this week. I mean, we played like it was a trap game against New York. I'll say it, and we won.
It could have been.
Yeah,
it could have been. Very cold finish in Minnesota. That's good. Yeah. I like that, Andrew. Yeah, they have some winnable games. The toughest part of the season on paper has already happened, and I still think that will bode well. I still do believe the 49ers and the Texans and the Packers will find their way to the postseason. I do believe
absolutely.
that.
San Fran always figures it out. They started rough last year. They were like 1-2 last year. They were this close to being 4-1. They've done a lot of dumb things that they will not do. When McCaffrey's back, we've seen it. They're going to be a whole new team.
They'll be really good when McCaffrey comes back, and maybe he'll come back at the halfway point of the year, and maybe that'll help him. He'll be on load management, but he's a difference maker for the team. I do think Arizona's improved. That'll be an interesting game. I don't think
they're great, though. I don't think they're great.
No, they're taking advantage. They've won some games this year. I didn't think they were going to beat the Niners, but
no, nor did I.
It's a weird year, man. It's just a weird NFL year so far, and I think what we're going to see is that we're going to wait for like the wheels to catch up and the ride to get smooth. I think it's just going to be a bumpy season. I think it's an off year, and it's crazy. I think outside of the Vikings, obviously the Chiefs get their respect for being the champs and being undefeated. I think the best team in football right now, not named Minnesota or Kansas City, is Baltimore.
Could be. They did give up 38. Like, I know they beat the crap out of the Bills. That defense has problems. It does.
The reason I say that though is if they just stick with the game plan and do what they do well and do it often, they're going to
be a real problem. Yeah,
1 seed or a 2 seed again, and Derrick Henry, Hall of Fame, bro.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God, defensive end playing running back into his 30s. He's unreal, man. He's unreal.
He's and like he runs fast too. Like he runs fast too.
If he was a little thicker, he's like Cam Newton playing running back. It's unreal, man. He's a specimen.
And I remember he struggled early on in his career too. That's the crazy part. People forget that.
Yeah.
He struggled early on in his career, and he went on to become a superstar. It's crazy.
He's a superstar. And what I like to give credit where credit is due. I'm not his biggest fan. I'm not his biggest hater. I'm pretty even keel because I don't have any connection with Baltimore. But I respect Lamar Jackson for what he is, man. He wanted to get paid. He wanted that generational money. He's a generational talent. He's kind of reshaped the game like Michael Vick did, and he's on the face of that city. And I really enjoy that he plays ball to his advantage. But I think he's gotten past that narrative of a running back playing quarterback.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
That play the other night where he botched the snap and still threw a touchdown. He's stiff arms of defense. Dude is unreal, man. He's a good player.
He is good.
I really like Baltimore. It sucks that it came in the way of losing to a toe, because that throw to Isaiah Likely was nuts. Those two losses this season, but I think they're figuring it out.
But they lost the Raiders. They did lose the Raiders. That's why I give this team so much credit that people won't give us. Because and I don't care, by the way, just like you, screw the national media. I could care less. I care about what we're doing. I don't care about anyone else.
Exactly.
Everyone else has had slip-ups. And if Kansas City has a slip-up today against New Orleans, we're the best team in the NFL. And it cannot be discussed any further.
Then you got to sustain, man. You just got to sustain.
We will. Brian Flores, that Patriot way, you could see it. And God, Kyle, you have no idea, because the amount of years I wanted Patriot way coaches on this team. That's why I love Flores so much. He wants to put you in the ground and pile drive you every single week, and I love it.
I love the fact, too, like I said earlier, that there's not one player that you have to rely on. Like, I don't need Jared Allen to come in and get 4 sacks a game like we used to have to do back in the day, even though that defense wasn't constructed.
We could use him. I wouldn't mind Jared Allen. I would not mind. I love Jared Allen. I have a soft spot, I've gotten go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I hate that Jared Allen's not a Hall of Famer. It's bothered me every year he's been passed up. It's a joke. The Hall of Fame is a joke.
He should get it. And I'm on the team that you said, like, I think Matt Ryan's just on the outside looking in. He does have a lot of great stats. But
you're part of the 2 biggest losses in NFL history, choke jobs. Regular season, you can't. I'm sorry. That is an instant requirement or expulsion. You lost 33-0 up in regular season, 28-7. Get out of here.
Well,
you can't.
For me, it's the Hall of Very Good versus the Hall of Fame.
Exactly.
I can tell the story of the NFL without having to stand Matt Ryan's in there. Jared Allen's got to go in there.
Oh, he will. No, I know. It's just
he's one of them.
I'm going to go to Canton, Ohio when he goes. I have to. I have to. I love Jared Allen so much. I might even wear a cowboy hat, and I don't own one. I do not own one. I will find one. That's how much I love Jared Allen.
That's amazing.
I did that celebration as a little kid so much growing up. I love Jared Allen.
It's so good. Datman says, my dad, lifelong Vikings fan, passed away 7 months ago. This feels like a special year. I feel like I'm watching it with him every game. Let me tell you something. I don't know if I've seen you in the comments before. If I have and we've talked, trust me, it's not you. It's my scrambled eggs for brains. That hits my heart and it strikes me in a way. I lost my mother a few years ago. That's why I got this right here for her. And every single day I think about her. Not a Vikings fan, although I did like to give her grief about her Carolina Panthers early and often. I hope that happens for you. And I know if you'll be like Mike and I, you'll cry if the Vikings win a Super Bowl regardless, but you'll have a special moment there and think of your dad. But if you want to type in your dad's name, we'll say it and give him a shout out to Skull. Thank you for sharing that. That's really special. That means a lot.
Yeah.
Appreciate that a lot.
Rest in peace to your father. I hope they bring you a special moment this season because you deserve it. I've been through a lot of losses in my life. Even though I'm young, it sucks. It's the worst thing that you can go through. God bless, prayers to your family.
Also, Allen and Marshall in the Hall of Fame the same year.
That would be so cool. That'd be so cool.
That's a crime. I lost my brother 21 is a big reason. Oh, nice. Thanks for sharing that, Jake. We all have our weird little stories, especially with this team, like not having a Super Bowl and the team not being to one in 50 years. You really have to find your grit and your determination to love this team because although they are the winningest non-Super Bowl having team, they do have a lot more down years than it seems than up years. And we all have our little stuff. Mike and I, came in around the same time. The Favre era really drew me in.
Yeah.
Being in the military, everyone wears what they love, like as a brand on their shirt. And I didn't have anything to root for, so I just started watching football with my friends. And I loved Jared Allen. I loved Adrian Peterson. Then you got Favre, which I remember growing up. I watched both of the Super Bowls that the Packers were in. He seemed like a fun dude, liked to sling it. He's a fun player to watch. But that 09 season was special. But we all have that special moment that really drew in. A lot of us would be the Minneapolis Miracle of recent memory. But I don't know. Let's ride this out. Maybe there's a special moment this year we haven't yet.
God, I hope so. God, I hope so.
The team seems to be playing well, and now that they've hit a couple bumps in the road and still figured it out, it's starting to make me more of a believer.
And it feels different.
Yeah, it does feel different.
We've been here before. The 5-0 and I was a lot younger in 2016. So you start to believe in things maybe and you don't realize as much when you're a younger guy.
Bradford a statue, man.
I
was ready to do it.
But that O-line was Swiss cheese.
I said it 700 times. I'll say it again. Sam Bradford throws the prettiest football I've ever seen.
I've said it to people, and people get mad at me. He was one of the best quarterbacks I've ever watched in Vikings history. And honestly, game in, game out, I think he was better than Kirk Cousins. And it bothers a lot of people when I say that. Sam Bradford was damn good, and he deserved better. His body disappointed. Let him down. Yeah. They let him down, and I still hate you to this day, Jeff Fisher, for what you did to Sam Bradford. I'm not just saying that because he went to Minnesota. He deserved better in general. I cheered for him as a rookie. Yeah. The way he threw the ball, he was so damn good. He deserved better. He really did.
Accurate, man. Pretty spiral. Yes. Everything was good. I'd send it into Games with Names with Julian Edelman, whoever said, if you guys want to watch just poetry in motion, watch him against the home opener in the Packers, or that next year, the home opener against the Saints.
New Orleans.
He carved up the Saints. And that's where I say, like, I've never seen a prettier ball because it wasn't like some adjusted catch like this year.
Nope.
The throw in the Giants game to Jefferson was pretty. The throw in Green Bay to Addison, he had to extend a little bit. The ball was placed into a small bread basket.
Yep.
And it's exactly where it needed to be. Sam Bradford, man. Getting me nostalgic on here.
No, he was good.
Shut up. We're gonna round the show up. Mike, thank you for coming on, man. Before we start plugging our stuff, tell people where they can find you, your Twitter handle. Just tell them what we do on the side and what you do for stuff, and anything you want to plug and promote, man.
Yeah, just if you could, ladies and gentlemen, if you like football, if you like the UFC, if you like the NHL, I know a lot of Americans don't like hockey, but if you're one of those hockey fans, check out the Mic'd Up podcast on YouTube. MIKED, Mic'd Up, because me and my co-hosts are both named Michael. So there is the little hint there for you. But yeah, I appreciate it. We're at 185 subscribers on the road to 200. Please subscribe. I'd really appreciate it.
Your Twitter was.
Oh yeah, I have Mike Castellino as well, and Twitter. That's my biggest, obviously, social media as well. But I always say this when I'm on any show: if you don't like transparency and honesty, don't follow me. If you're willing to put up with me when I'm honest, because I know there's people that love the purple Kool-Aid, don't follow me. But if you're willing to hear honest football takes and honesty, good or bad, please give me a follow and join up to my space sometime. I'll be happy to have you on.
It's part of the reason we're friends, and I go for being accurate over hot takes and clicks and all that. I don't do the stuff.
Yes.
I don't do the gimmicky stuff, and I know that's not very fun. It's probably not flashy, but I can't stand the. It's all bullshit, man. It really is
That's
hey,
right.
I'm going to say something outlandish so I can get people to talk. It's like, yeah, but where's the authenticity in that? You don't really mean what you're saying.
No. Nope.
Just like Judd saying that JJ McCarthy would start. No, he would not. There's no chance.
No. Kevin O'Connell played Josh Dobbs. People forget. Kevin O'Connell played Josh Dobbs after a horrific Monday Night Football performance. Yes, he would start Sam Bradford after a 5-0 start without hesitation. Anyway,
for me, it's a lot like the paparazzi and those like terrible tabloid magazines. If you're just going for shock and awe and you don't even believe what you're saying, you just want to get people talking. It just feels very. I'll say it. I said it on Twitter many times. And who am I? I don't write for a Vikings publication. I'm not a analyst, but it's just lazy to me. It's purely lazy to scapegoat yourself to be like, okay, cool. I'm going to say something crazy to get people talking. Okay, but where was the effort in that? You didn't use a bunch of brain cells to come up with this. I'd rather be accurate and go through the weeds and the boring stuff. I like the boring stuff. So that's why we're friends, man. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mike Castellino on Twitter. You can follow the Mic'd Up podcast. Mike, like you spell the name, MIKED, Mic'd Up podcast. I join in sometimes. Mike and I love the UFC, so we do some predictions there.
Every pay-per-view.
Subscribe to that. Yeah, every UFC pay-per-view. It's a lot of fun. If you want to talk about stuff, we're always reposting Viking stuff on Twitter. Check it out. Like and subscribe, guys. Thank you for our regulars for tuning in. I really appreciate y'all keeping the comments going and the conversation alive. It's a lot more fun when there are people in here, so we appreciate it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you hit that notification bell, you'll know ahead of time when I schedule these shows when we're going to go live. Quick rundown before we leave. Adam Carlson works for the Viking Age. Go to thevikingage.com, click on one of his articles. Their new layout over the last year is way better. It's way easier to absorb, faster to get to. So every time you click on one of his articles, his numbers go up. He makes more money. Easy enough. You can find him on Twitter there at MNVikingsZombie. We also do some horror movie reviews if you're into that. Adam's on all the social medias. In the best way possible, Adam is a social media whore, and I love it. He's trying his best to get his name brand up, and I appreciate that because that's how he makes a living through the internet. So check out Adam's work. Very fun, witty, dry humor there. Kyle West had to jet out today. I wish you could have been on for Kyle, man. He's a lot of fun. He's very outspoken like you and I, so we'll have you back, and we'll talk about it maybe later in the season, have him on. But he likes Blue Sky at Vaguely Square. Follow Kyle if you want. His photography website is here, Kyle West 84 Pick Fair. He does great photography work in his hometown in Iowa, and you can also find there's a lot of cool shots. He lives in a very rural town, so he's always finding like great artistic photos, and I'm very jealous. If you want to follow me, you can. NC Dog Dude. I like Twitter and I like Instagram. That's my social media poison of choice. I know that's a lot of promoting and pushing that through, but we're hitting an hour and a half, which I didn't think we were going to do, and somehow it's just you and I left because Adam had to run. But Mike, good buddy of mine, I appreciate you coming on. I'm glad that you picked it. It would have been a more fun game to call, but nonetheless, the Vikings walk out undefeated, and I'm excited, man. I got to find something to do this Sunday since there's no game. But thank you for coming on, dude. I really appreciate it.
No worries. Take care, Kyle.
everybody. Thank you once again. Tune in next week. We'll talk about the bye, the situation of the team. Maybe they look into a running back. We'll see what the NFL looks like 7 days from now. But until then, be safe, take care of each other, and stay classy, Minnesota.